All right. Let's turn our attention to the sideboard here. Monday, the 10th of February. SWBA students will be able to add and subtract polynomials. Section 6.5. The 7 to 6. So, I kind of like this section.
Do you?
I kind of like this whole chapter, actually. This is one of my favorite chapters. I kind of like it so far, but I think it's a fun chapter. Okay? So, adding and subtracting polynomials. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have two polynomials here, and sometimes we can even have 3, 4, 5 multiple polynomials. Because this, as we recall, in the parentheses on the left here, this is all one polynomial. It's made up of multiple monomials. Talking about polynomials is one or more monomials. So monomial here, because there's no variable in the denominator, and there's no addition or subtraction. But these three monomials together form a polynomial. These three monomials over here form a polynomial, and we are adding these two polynomials. This one we'd be subtracting these two polynomials. So we have some steps we're going to follow. We're going to group the like terms together. We're going to group the like terms together. Okay? This is where that underlining thing that we did last section is really going to start coming in handy even more here. Okay? Then we're going to add the coefficients. We're going to add the coefficients. Let's question how to spell that for a second there. We're going to have the coefficients of the like terms. Remember, the coefficients are the numbers in front of it. Okay? And if we don't see a number there, what is the coefficient?
One number.
1, right? If we don't see a number in front of the variable, there's a 1 there. Okay? And then we write all the terms in order of the degree of the x value from greatest to least. Now we talked about that. That's just our standard form. What we just did actually even on our homework. The standard form, descending order. And we say of the x value because sometimes we have different variables. Like for example, on number 1, we have a's. So instead a is considered our x value, quote unquote. Okay, we're going to practice these here. So first we're going to group the like terms together. Now how I group those like terms together is, like I said, I go through the underlines. So we say, in these two polynomials, 4a squared plus 7a minus 12, 9a negative 9a squared minus 6 plus 2a, of all of those, what would come first? Okay, Dylan.
The 4a squared and the 9a squared.
4a squared and this negative 9a squared. So I'm going to put one underline underneath both of them. Okay? It's always a good idea to double check, did we get everything that was that include? Yes. Okay, Dylan.
And then the next one is the 7a squared, or 7a and then 2a.
Yeah, 7a and 2a. So I'm going to put two underlines underneath those guys. That's telling me I'm going to put it second. Okay, number of underlines is the place you put it in. Okay, and then what would come next?
6 and 12.
Okay, 6, negative 12 and negative 6, and those would have 3 underlines. And so we grouped our like terms together. This is how we group them together in this, and this is our organizational method. Now we're going to add the coefficients of the like terms, step 2 here. Okay, so 4a squared plus negative 9a squared, one underline and one underline. What is 4 plus negative 9?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. We have negative 5a squared. We keep the variable and the exponent the same. That does not change. Okay.
Plus 9a.
Okay. How do you arrive at plus 9a? I agree. How do you arrive at plus 9a?
Yeah.
How do you arrive there?
Because I took 7 and I added 2.
Yeah. 7 and 2 are two underlines here, guys. Two underlines here. With our a's come next, and so we combine those. Okay. And then negative 12 plus negative 6. Negative, try again. 18. So negative 5a squared plus 9a minus 18. Can we do anything more here? No. Did you say doubt it? Oh, no. I'm like, well, it's good. Okay. So that's our correct order. We combined everything we could. We're done. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Questions on the first one? Okay, now in the second one, what's our change between this first one and our second one? Subtraction. We have subtraction now, right? We have subtraction. Now here's the thing, is a lot of us, when we go through this, actually, scratch that. Let me start over. What would come first? Let's group our like terms together first.
Identifying the large
Okay, identify the large exponent, kind of. What would be our largest exponent?
3. Third
Okay.
power.
The 12 be the third and 6 be the third. But, is that what's going to come first?
No. Subtraction.
Okay. What term would come first here? We said that for standard form, not only do we want descending order, but what other order do we want it in?
Oh,
Alphabetical. So what's going to come first, A's or B's?
Hey.
A's. So we say, okay, well first let's do all of our A's. Then we move on to the B's. We don't care how big the B exponent is. We don't care that 3 is bigger than the exponent of 2 on the A. We're going to put those after the A's. We're going to go alphabetical. So what's going to be the first thing we put? Dylan?
6a squared, 11a squared.
And 11a squared. Very good. We're going to have 6a squared and 11a squared. Okay?
And then number 2
Okay, go ahead.
is negative 8a.
Awesome. Okay? And then what would come third?
12 B's cubed in 6.
Yeah, those b cubes, right? The 12b cubed and the 6b cubed. Those are going to come third. So even though those have the highest exponent, they actually come last for us here. Just because alphabetical, we have to do those first. So we like to do alphabetical first, then within that alphabetical system, we do the exponents in decreasing order, descending order. Now, what can happen, guys? I don't want you to write this down. Don't want you to write this down yet. If we go through here and we say, okay, 6a squared and 11a squared. What are we doing with those two numbers? Subtracting, right? Okay, and so what's 6a squared minus 11a squared? Okay, but what kind? Negative 5a squared. Okay, I want you to write that part down. I want you to write down negative 5a squared, so don't write it down, but I want you to write this down. Okay? Then we just have negative 8a by itself, don't we? Okay? And then what would we have there at the end?
You would have negative 6 positive 6.
So, see how this ends up being a little bit confusing with these subtraction signs way away and you kind of have to mentally switch a lot of stuff? Here's what I do to help us with that. Here's what I like to do and I want you guys to start doing as well because this is just so insanely helpful. Is whenever you see this subtraction with everything behind it, when we're subtracting polynomials, I want us to change this to addition. But what do I have to do if I change that to addition? Change everything inside. So this positive becomes a negative, this positive becomes a negative. Now, I think it's going to be a while you should think of this as 12b squared plus a negative 6b cubed.
So it's 6.
And so it's positive 6b cubed. I say it that way, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay? But at first, we get a little bit confused with it. And we have to stop, take a second, mentally move the sign, and we have to go through that mental process all in our head. And a lot of times we can make mistakes when we just go through it in our head. So if you actually just write it out, change the symbol, and then go to everything inside and change those symbols, it makes life a lot easier. It reduces the mistakes we make. This is something I still do. Something I still do. And I don't even just do it so I can tell you guys to do it. I actually just do it because it's helpful for these stuff. Like even when I was in like calculus and calc 2 and calc 3, I was still doing this just because it's so helpful. Okay, so I just really want to encourage that. Does that make sense? Okay. And now we look at this and we are in our standard order. The A's come before the B's, and the A's are in descending order. Questions on that? All right. On number 3 here, guys. Number 3 here. We only have 4 more examples.
Wait, what?
Okay. Seriously, we only have these 6 examples.
We're gonna memorize the class.
Great. Okay. So
That's
5x squared y plus 3xy squared minus 5x plus 2x squared y minus 5xy plus 7x. Well, okay, our first step is to group our like terms together and to state what would come first. But we kind of have some weird things going on here, don't we? We haven't had this yet. We haven't had a mix of variables. So we're going to say, okay, well, what's going to happen? Well, we say, what's alphabetical comes first, x or y?
X. No,
X
X comes
comes first, okay. Now, do all of them even have an x, though?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, all of them have at least an x, right?
Five.
Okay, some of them have x and y, but all of them have at least an x, right? So they're all kind of tied in that way. Then we say, okay, well, what do we want first? Well, since since they all have x's, we say they're kind of tied alphabetically in that way. So then we go to powers. So what has our highest power of x?
2.
X squared, right? So there's 5x squared y and then 2x squared y. So that'll come first. Right now we don't care that it has a y attached. We're just saying as far as x's go, our first alphabetically, this one has the highest x squared. Now, we have some ties on our x to the first though, don't we? The next 4 things are tied. And are all of them like terms? Are these 4, 3xy squared, negative 5x, negative 5xy plus 7x, are those like terms? No, they don't have the same variables raised to the same power. 2 of them are, but the other 2 aren't. So now we ask the question, well, what comes first? Because they, each of them have x to the first. So how do we break this tie? Okay, what we're going to do is we say, let's put one of them with something else first. We like to put something before nothing. We like to put something before nothing in this. Okay, we like to put something before nothing in this. So what I'm going to do is because these have an xy and an xy, I'm going to say those go in front of the ones with just the x's. Because those have an xy, I'm going to say those go in front of the ones with just the x's. And to break my tie, like I said, I'm going to look at the second variable. To break my tie, I'm going to look at the second variable attached to it. So I say, okay, well, y squared and y, what's going to come first between those?
The 3xy squared.
Yeah, the 3xy squared, the one with y squared. If I'm going to break my tie based upon the y's, I'm going to put those in descending order. So using that logic, what's going to get our 3 underlines?
Negative 5x.
Negative 5xy. Okay, and so now, what has no y's? Negative 5x and then 7x. So those are 4 underlines. Okay. Now I want you guys to try and write these. I want you guys to rewrite this one now.
I'm done.
Okay. So once you have it or have questions, raise your hand. Yes, might be a good idea. So this one ends up being 7x squared y plus 3xy squared minus 5xy plus 2x. 7x squared y plus 3xy squared minus 5xy plus 2x. Now I just want to call our attention to the order we have these in again. Is we say, okay, well the only one with an x squared is going first. So the highest power of x is going first, regardless. Then we say, okay, well after that, these each have a power of 1 on the x. So to break the tie, we look at the second variable. And we say, okay, well y squared, y, and then no y. So to break a tie, we look for the second variable. And if there's a tie of the second variable, then we go to the third, so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Okay. So we still follow the same rules, but when we have a tie, we look to the second variable. Yeah.
What happened to 3xy squared and the 5x, negative 5x?
Right here. They're not like terms though. Yeah, they're not like terms because this one's y squared and this one's normal y. Yeah, very good. Thanks for asking. Okay. Number four. Okay, I want you guys to try this.
I'm done.
If you haven't or have questions, I would love for you to raise your hands. If you haven't or have questions, I want you to raise your hand on number four. Be really careful with our signs on this one. Okay, that's our hint. Be really careful with our signs on this one. Oh, okay. I guess.
I think I might have messed up because of the signs.
We just need to adjust
Yeah, I didn't realize it.
our signs. Yes. Oh, I'm going to encourage you to look at your signs. Yeah, try. Sorry, what?
I'm looking at
Look at the signs.
I'm looking at one.
Ah,
Oh, wait.
sucker.
Me looking, doing.
Get caught, kid.
What do I encourage with these signs? Just change this to a. What do I change it here? This becomes a. This is a negative, so I'm going to change it to adding. This becomes a.
Oh, it's how
Okay,
you
easier.
easier. Yeah.
That's why I always change that sign
Wait.
first. Okay. Go ahead, home check.
My stabber. Didn't you have a red check? She was.
Maddox, you want to check the rest?
The last two things.
Loser. Do it. No, how do I choose it? I already got mine. Bill full of Ryan Love. This is our name.
No, so just hit the rest. Okay.
See, it's really easy. You're just reading down.
Oh, you did it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He's trying to get my answers.
Wait, am I supposed to change this?
Same signs, positive, different signs, negative.
Remember you changed this positive, right? How about that?
Change this to.
You already changed this thing to positive. This is the positive. That's a negative.
Whoa, Mr. Russell. Whoa, number 5. Whoa.
What?
Number 5 looks pretty whack.
Is it?
Ow. I just heard it in my back.
So if we look at this on number 4, the one that comes first here is 11mn squared and negative 5mn squared. But hey, what do I actually want to do first? Change the subtraction to addition. As soon as I notice we're subtracting, I want to change that. This positive becomes a negative. Negative becomes a positive. Positive becomes a negative. That's going to help me out so much later. Okay? Next will come the mn's. And then last will come those constants. So 11 plus negative 5 is 6. M squared n squared. Next will come the mn's, so 2 plus 3 now, so 5mn. Then last will come the negative 11 plus negative 17, aka negative 28. And we are, in fact, in descending order our standard form too. But any questions on that? Okay, number 5. Woo! This one looked pretty similar to number 3.
Easy.
Kinda. Okay, let's try number 5. We're gonna try number 5. Okay. If you have it or have questions, I'm going to raise your hand.
Your order is a little bit off. And then you should be good if you switch it.
Switch them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2A.
Um,
They get 2A. Well, that should be better.
I got it right. Bill. What?
Just probably two. So,
Where you get
that
seven?
would be negative 2A squared. You said it was 2.
Your order's still wrong. Alright, so we're on daily. Eat me. What do you want? Let's use it. Yes, you did fine. Good try. Good job, buddy. Not to do that. That's what makes me feel like you.
Let's talk about this one up here then. Let's talk about this one up here, guys. So, very first thing I want to do before I go to anything else is change the subtraction symbol to what? Addition. And I have to change the sign of everything after it. So positive becomes a,
Negative.
negative becomes a, and positive becomes a negative. That's the very first thing I want to do, okay? Now we look for the order. So we say we're dealing with two variables, A's and B's. What comes first, A or B? A alphabetically. Then we say, okay, well now that we know that A's are going to come first, we need the exponents. What's the highest exponent of A we see?
580.
Okay, no. What's the highest exponent of A that we see?
Oh.
Yeah, we see this negative 2A squared B, we see 3A squared, and negative 4A squared. So those are all tied at the A squareds. Those are all tied with A squareds. So what comes first between those two? The one with the B. We look to the second variable. When they're tied, we look to the second variable. So that's what comes first. Because they both have A squareds, or all three of them have the A squareds, so we break the tie with the one with the second variable. Look at the second variable to break the tie. But now, after that, we would then put the A squareds second. Put the A squareds next. Okay? I saw quite a few of us actually putting those A squareds after the AB squareds. We have to be careful. We have to be very careful there. It's because A squared is still a higher power than A to the first. So we look to the A and to know which order we place it in. We say, hey, we have a tiebreaker, okay, let's comes first, then these would come right after. Now we put the 5ab squared, because that's the only thing left with a's in it. Then we say, okay, well, after we have no more a's left, we look to the 5b squares and we say, and the 4b squared, we say those are like terms, so those are gonna have 4. Any questions on how I ordered those? Any questions on how I ordered those, okay? I know it can get pretty confusing, okay? So then we look through, okay, one underline, that's only one of them. Negative 2a squared b. Two underlines, 3a squared and negative 4a squared. 3 minus 4, negative 1 or negative a squared. 3 underlines, 5ab squared. That's it. So just plus 5ab squared. And we already worried about changing our signs, so we don't have to worry about the subtraction while we're doing this too. That's a lot of steps at once. 4 underlines, we have this 4b squared and this positive 5b squared. 4 plus 5 is 9b squared. Questions on that one? Okay. I want you guys to go ahead and try this number 6. Question number 6. Yeah, when you have it or have questions, I want you to read it.
Stop working your head.
No. Easy. This is gonna be a negative. This is gonna be positive. Yes.
Bro.
Negative.
This is your car, kid. Okay, my dad said.
And check the increase of force. Are you good?
Yeah.
Did you get that? Mr. Cosmo, no. No. Mr. Cosmo, I was raising my hand longer. I don't care. No, Mr. Cosmo, check me first, because I was having my hand up longer. Leave. Leave. The juicy ones too. Give me a piece of my hand. Mr. Cosmo, give me a piece of your hand. Come on. No, Mr. Cosmo, I'm losing my hair long.
Yes. Glad I forget order.
Haha, loser.
Okay.
Why didn't I get a better?
Dalton, you fart. You smell like a fart over here.
Probably party, boy.
Which one? This one?
What did I do? Oh.
Mr. Cosmo.
Oh.
Yes, are you getting it right? Is it right?
Yes, I was.
Levi, come check me. Wait, did you say check order? I forgot what you said already. Maddie.
Drop off your seats.
Okay, here. That was wrong. The order?
Underline all your variables. Oh, check it. Here, for your trouble, buddy. Huh?
Yeah. That's the other half of my water. Yes. Get out of here. You're not dirty. I didn't sleep in cow poop this morning.
Incorrect.
That's tomorrow morning. The cow poo poo is for tomorrow morning. What?
That was an accident.
Cow poo.
I just don't want you to look back on that.
No, for the cows. Yeah. That's what my boots have for breakfast. Guys, guess what? I'm moving to schools next year.
Where to?
Huh?
Thank you, Dylan.
I'm welcome over there.
Where?
I'm moving to Arizona.
Where?
There, I'm not moving to Apache Junction, Arizona.
Huh?
Moving to Apache Because it's
That's
cheaper.
I think it's cheaper living here than it is there.
No, we
I
help
think
people
it's
move,
so-
we help people move down there and then they, so it's like cheaper.
Oh, yeah, you're sure there is a high property tax.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're not complete.
But
Yeah,
still, I
I
think
got
you,
right
I
now,
think you can live better in Nebraska than you can in Arizona.
You make spend more
Of course,
money.
the cost of living is way lower.
Yeah, it's a lot lower than those.
You just kind of, but yeah.
Nowhere.
Especially in like Mississippi, it's even lower.
Y'all right?
That's
I wish I moved to Arizona.
Because my dad had house seat built.
We said Alabama.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Bro, I'll carry I moved it. What did you say?
Good identify your
Arizona.
Write it down.
I'd go to Texas.
Armed and ready.
I'd rather go to Texas.
Armed and ready.
Actually, no, I'd rather go to like live in Carroll, North Carolina. North Carolina.
Yeah, let's go look up here. First thing I notice is subtraction. What do I change that subtraction to? Addition. And I instantly change the sign of everything after it. Positive becomes a negative. Positive becomes a negative. Negative becomes a positive. Don't.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I almost said name, but sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate you not.
I almost said it.
So then we say, okay, now we need our order. Between x and y, which alphabetically comes first? X. So we need to look at our powers of x. So we say, what's the highest power of x we see? X squared. And what has an x squared on it? 3x squared, negative 2x squared, and 4x squared. Are those all the same kind of term? Are those all like terms?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can put one underline underneath all three of those. Okay. So then we say, okay, are there any others where that has the power of x squared? No, so now we move on to x to the first. Hannah, we have a lot of different things with x to the first on it, don't we? We have this with x to the first, this is x to the first, and this is x to the first. Presley, what do we do in the event of a tie? You look at the second variable. Very good. Okay, we look at the second variable. Okay. Now, which one of these even has a second variable? The xy or the x?
DXY.
The xy. So we put those first. So those have two underlines, and they're like terms. And so then last, actually just comes our normal x. Now we worry about combining like terms after we group them all together. Questions on how we group these together or organize them though. Okay. Hey guys, if it's hard for you, if you're remembering right now how we break our ties, what order we have these in, I'd encourage you to write a note at the top of your paper that maybe says if in the event of a tie, or you look at the second variable, you can even just write tie equals second variable. Okay, tie equals look at second variable, something like that. Okay, just to remind yourself. Okay, that might not be a bad idea. Just to write there that hey, if you have a tie, you look at your second variable. Okay, it's just a good idea to have there. Okay, so then we have the one underlines 3 minus 2 plus 4. Okay, what's 3 minus 2? What's 1 plus 4? 5. So we have 5x squared. Now we're on the second term, so we have two underlines. 4xy minus 3xy. What's 4 minus 3?
4 minus 3 is 1.
So just plus xy. You can have 1xy or just xy. Either way, it's the same thing. Now the only thing with 3 underlines is this negative 4x, so we put negative 4x at the end there. Questions on that? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Liddy. Okay. So that's actually it for our notes today. Kind of nice, isn't it?
Whoa!
Kind of nice, I think.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
It's spooky.
Let's get this bread.
Yes. Eat some wheat. Attain some grains.
2 more.
Okay.
That's 2 5. Next week I won't be here. Friday is state, right? Next Friday is the 21st.
Next Thursday, it starts, and then Friday.
Do we have school
I'm
next
going
Monday?
on Friday.
The wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday's opening rounds and first round consolation. Friday is quarters and semis, and I think Saturday's finals. But I could be wrong. But I'm
So,
actually gonna be there on
what
Thursday.
day is?
Alright,
This
Christmas
one,
Day is
next
next Monday. We,
I got
we don't have classes next Monday.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I have to be here, you guys don't.
Thank goodness.
So
We don't
what?
have to be here next Monday because President's Day.
Does teachers have
Thank you,
insurance
Donald
day?
Trump.
Don't do's. Oh, man.
Don't do number 10. So not only do we have a lot of time, we have.
Why don't we just not do number 11 instead?
Honestly, Mr. Council, in my opinion, you're my number one best teacher besides Miss Albury. I think Miss Albury is.
Number 2 always smells bad, but I sure.
I'm sorry, but Mr. Westling's my favorite.
Mr. Westling.
He's okay.
He's a ye boy.
You want me to?
Just actually starts doing it. Goodness gracious.
Student teaching?
Then he did my basic science.
Okay, sorry. And I got an 94.
She is car, you drive?
I don't know the date.
Like,